Good afternoon, everyone. What on earth am I doing back at Brookfield Place? Well, come on down and I will show you. That was just the start of my journey. We've got a lot to unpack today. I'm going to take you on quite a tour from Brookfield Place all the way over here to John and William Street, which is technically part of the Wall Street Terminal. And we've got a long way to go and a long time to get there and a lot to talk about because I discovered this and I walked from Brookfield Place to William Street underground. Join me, Terry Dixon, for an adventure for anyone as we talk about an amazing journey you can take that I just really discovered. All of this goes on down in South Manhattan by the World Trade Center site. You can take the shuttle over and the one down, which is what I did to get started. And this is just a little bit of what I discovered underground. I began my journey after getting off the one. I went over to Brookfield Place to start from the western beginning of this thing. And the mall over here at Brookfield Place is amazing. If you go outside to the Vesey Terminal, you can even catch a ferry over to New Jersey. But if you leave Brookfield Place via all those escalators in the front of the building, you will find that you are going down into what I found was really an odyssey. I can't really even describe everything that goes on here. The conglomerate that we are going to walk through houses the one subway, the PATH trains, the Oculus, the E, the 4, 5, 2, 3, A, C, J, Z, R, and W subways. And we are at the World Trade Center. You go down that escalator from Brookfield Place and you're underneath the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. As a matter of fact, as you watched in my previous video, this is how you get to go up to the World Trade Center observatories. So you have to go underground, and where you're underground here, you leave Brookfield Place, you go under the World Trade Center, but this is all part of the Oculus, that strange looking building that looks like some kind of a crustacean shell that sits next to the World Trade Center that is set up to be a symbolic memorial to 9/11, where you can see the building that has been built through the crevice in the top of the building on one end. And on 9/11, at the exact time, 10:28, I believe it was, that the planes hit the second tower, you can see the sun on 9/11. So this is very symbolic. However, in addition to that, you can see the PATH trains come in here. Right above them is where you come in on the one subway, that red one. And that is actually the quintessential World Trade Center subway stop. But we're not done there. There's 80 to 100 shops and restaurants and whatever in the Oculus. It is enormous. It is beautiful. And then you have all of these other subways here that you can catch via the path to Fulton Center, which we've talked about. But first, we're going to go up and we're going to take a look at the E, which is just, if you go down to that pathway entrance to go over to Fulton Center, it will tell you, go up these stairs and you can catch the E up that way. So that's exactly what I did this day. Now, mind you, except for my ride down, at this point, I have not entered the subway system or the pass system. Now, here on this level, going to the E train, you have an enormous passageway. You can enter here on your right. You can go to the E, and you can also enter into the passageway that goes over to the R and the W, which I believe you can catch. It's Cortlandt Street, Chambers Street. It is a connection. Let's put it that way. I did not go into the subway system there and take the walk over that day, but that's where the pathway under there goes. Here we are under that east end at Barclay Street. Now this is that Chambers Street station. You may remember I just showed that to you recently as part of Park Place, which is also in this connective situation. And you have these mosaic eyes everywhere. Chambers Street is home of the eye mosaics. Here's the outside of this particular entrance, which is at the World Trade Center, it says, but it's actually at Chambers, Barclay, Vesey Streets. It's right there. So you have all of these outer entrances to this giant complex. But once you get down in there, you can stay down in there. It's absolutely amazing. When I did Park Place, I showed you this mosaic, but from that other end, I was looking at it through the glass. This is the pathway. Once again, I have not entered the subway system yet. These are all passageways. And over here, you see you can get into the system. You can get to the 2, the 3, the A, the C, the E, the R, and the W in there. But I didn't go in there yet. I went to take another look over here at another entrance to this complex. This is a very old part of town, so you're going to have these walk-down entrances, but in this case, you also have an elevator because 150 stations in New York are already accessible and they're working on more. If you hear that speech from the automated woman on the subway, it means the subway station you're stopping at isn't accessible yet. But the entrance here on this street it's Park Place there, has a cover which you don't see on most subway entrances. I found it interesting. And these are the ones you can go down to from that entrance. Now we're headed back so that we can go look at the rest of the complex. We've looked at some exits here. We've taken an elevator. So real quick, I'm going to go over this. The Oculus, it opened in 2016, and everything under it was added at that time or after. The Day Street Path actually opened in 2014, connecting that Oculus area to the Fulton Center area. Now, Cortlandt Street, Wall Street, William Street, several of these stations under here all opened in 1918. The original Fulton Street opened in 1905, but Fulton Center didn't open until 2014. Park Place also opened in 1905. And the John Street entrance to the 2 and the 3 didn't open until 2014, but it used to be a train station years ago. And over on Chambers Street, where we were just at, that opened in 1913. Now, over the years, all of this stuff was connected underground. I joke about the potential for New York people to become mole people because the weather sucks a lot of the year. This is very helpful. And like I said, you don't have to enter the subway down here pretty much until you're ready to get on a subway. Now we're walking through that Day Street passage that goes from the Oculus and the World Trade Center, the PATH trains and all of that, over to Fulton Center. Fulton Center I also covered last summer. It is a makeover of the Fulton Street station into a section where you have a hub. And they parked this mall on top of it. It's got a Shake Shack, a Japanese sushi restaurant. Dunkin's in there. It's got a couple of shops. But the thing, if you look up at it, it really looks like a spaceship hovering over this giant center. But one good thing about Fulton Center is it is one of the places, as is the Oculus, there are public bathrooms. The Oculus is open during the shop hours. Fulton Street is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So it's good to know. This here is another exit. It is over here at Cortlandt Street. I had to think about that for a second and see what I was looking at on the thing. As you can see, this is the entrance to the giant complex at Fulton Street. This is where you've got the 4, 5, 2, 3 AC, J, Z, R, and W connections, and that mall that looks like a spaceship I was talking about. Now you're still in the old section of town. It is probably 5 to 6 blocks, maybe a little more, from one end of this underground journey to the other. And you have all of these connections in that small space. Now, most of them go north and south. The J and the Z, they are the brown ones. If you need to go out to JFK, they are your trains to catch here in this conglomeration. If you need to go way up to the Bronx, you need to go over to the World Trade Center and catch that one. If you want to go all the way out to Far Rockaway, you come here, you catch that A, make sure it says Far Rockaway, and so on and so forth. They're very well connected, everything that is in this giant hub. But as you can see, I'm going down, down, down. And where am I headed this time? Well, I'm coming down from Cortlandt Street. I'm going down around that mall. And I'm coming into it at the bottom into Fulton Center. As I said, this is space age stuff here. We covered this last summer. And you can connect to so many subways in this complex. However, I still get lost looking for a J or a Z that's going out to the airport and going that way. And I have been in this station 100 times, and I have all the maps and I've practiced. So, what am I going to tell you? That's right. Follow the signs, because you can get seriously lost in this place. Now, once you enter into the subway, you had the 4 and the 5 that were going, I believe, towards Brooklyn, that's right there at that platform, and then you come into this hallway. This hallway accesses almost all of the rest of the subways. The 4 and the 5 are out there. The R and the W are actually over on Cortlandt Street, and everything else is in this nightmare here. JZ2345 going north to Upper Manhattan are down here. And you will find yourself getting terribly confused, because here you have an elevator to here. Right down here, your A and your C. You're good here. Uptown one track, downtown the other. It will take you to Rockaway. You can also take that A to Howard Beach if you want to go to JFK that way. And the casino is out there as well. Now, the next trick you have is going from the easy to find A and C to the 2 and the 3 or the J and the Z. It's complicated. So what you're going to find here, and I can't really explain this adequately, I wish that I could. You're going to go upstairs and downstairs to different parts of the platform. You have to follow the sign. And if you can't find the J or the Z to Brooklyn and Queens, know that you're going to have to go towards the A and the C, the 2 and the 3, and then you're going to have to get to that platform. You have to turn around and follow more signs to get to that wacky J and Z. So you have all of that going on. Now the 2 and the 3, this is on your way to the 2 and the 3, because the 2 and the 3, once again, they aren't necessarily in that station. There's this giant path. It goes down to William Street, which is connected to Wall Street and John Street. And all through there, you have the 2 and the 3. And this is a multiple entry subway. There's a million entries, I swear to God, to the 2 and the 3 in that neighborhood. They just are. And there's this giant hallway that you'll see in just a minute here, where you can go up and down and up and down and up and down. Any one of these just goes down to the 2 and the 3. You can go north or south. It's a central platform. So that one is simple once you get over there and find it. But this whole thing, it is a bit tricky. There's a lot of blocks. There's a lot of exits. There's a lot of trains. There's a lot of stations. They are all connected. This is absolutely mint if you are dealing with things like weather, heat, cold, whatever. It's a great place to find your way around. You may have to ask for directions. I still do. to find the Brooklyn and Queens J&Z, I had to ask directions when I was there that very day. I've been in there 100 times. So this is the amazing, amazing complex of several stations and a lot of land right down here all around the World Trade Center. You can enter it from just anywhere around there. There's so many entrances. I wanted you to see this one. I couldn't really believe it myself. It's the most extensive underground connection system I've really ever seen, and I have been on subways all around the world. So I entered way over at Brookfield Place on the Hudson. I exited way over on William Street, which is right next to Wall Street in the financial district. I was underground the entire way in between, and I never got on the subway. Eventually, I had to find that J&Z up to Brooklyn and Queens. I asked somebody, I got my directions, but I said I started right here. I ended on the other end. It's an amazing journey. I highly recommend it. Always follow the signs and never lose your wonder for what goes on under New York.